So I just finished watching Mirror, Mirror. This is a must-see episode. This is Star Trek at its almost perfect best. It had suspense, it had comedy, it had twists, it had danger, it had fun characters through the whole thing. Oh man, this is one I'm going back and I'm going to watch again because it was that good. Now, this was an episode that I was familiar with in just hearing about it because there's a band that I really adore called Spock's Beard, and they took their name from this episode. The basic premise is that the team beams down to a planet to get some of the crystals that they need for the ship, and while they're there, they're talking to the people on the planet, and they don't want to give the Enterprise the ships in fear that the crystals may be used for evil. Okay, cool setup. Where it gets interesting is that when they're beaming back up, there's some sort of ion storm or some, sci-fi jargon like that, and it is Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, and Uhura. They get switched with an alternative reality of the Enterprise. The premise is that apparently the same group was beaming up in another reality or something like that. Whatever, I really don't care, because I don't think that was overly important to the story, how it worked. All we know is now the four of them are on an Enterprise filled with evil Enterprise people. Spock now has a beard. Sulu has this wicked scar across his face. All the characters are really nasty, and it's not the Federation, but it's an empire, and they are promoted by assassinating each other. Really cool. It kind of has this whole Lords of the Sith feel from Star Wars, that you gain power by offing the people who are above you, but of course you have to be strong enough to prove that you can do that, otherwise you're going to get beat down and killed. Oh wow, a lot of fun. And to see the actors play an evil version of themselves, or the characters that they play, is so much fun. I know last season we got to see a little bit of that with the evil Kirk, but now we got a whole Enterprise full of that. Awesome. Really, really awesome. I think the big highlights of this really is just the acting and the fun characters. Nichelle Nichols as Uhura was a knockout in this episode. She was so much fun. The guy played Chekhov. I guess this is now the third or fourth episode that we're into, and he's really showing that he is a fun actor. Because even playing the evil Chekhov was hysterical. To see the characters like Kirk and McCoy and Scotty, who in this version are they're still good, maneuver around all the evil, and Kirk having to try to pretend that he's brutal. A lot of fun. Oh man, this is an episode I would definitely go back and watch again. So I've been kind of going nuts over this episode. Was there anything I didn't like about it? Yeah, I felt that the ending was a little rushed. The ending is that Spock figures it out, or evil Spock, bearded Spock, if you will, figures out that Kirk and crew are not who they should be, and he gets in a fight with them, and before they're about to go, Bones saves his life, and then he kidnaps him, and they have this whole dialogue. And it had this, I liked the message, don't get me wrong, I thought it was really good, but it felt really forced and really rushed. In that good Kirk talks to bad Spock about tyranny and freedom, and that freedom, it just takes one man to stand up, and planting this idea into his head, and that logically the Empire will fall, and Spock being logical, whether he's good Spock or bad Spock, has to be logical, and anything else wouldn't be setting for him. It made sense. I liked it that Kirk was trying to get evil Spock to become good and overthrow the Empire and start this chain reaction. But they try to shove it all into 90 seconds. I wish it had developed a little bit more. Maybe starting that idea early on. I think the idea of them maybe getting figured out in the second act instead of the third act, and then you let the second and third act develop with good Kirk, bad Spock talking about that, that would be ideal. So that was my only gripe with this episode, was that shoehorned ending. The rest of it, really, really good. So, Mirror Mirror, this is on my list of best episodes. This is one that's just iconic. I can see people really having a love for this episode. This is one I will watch again, and I will show to people who have never seen Star Trek. So that's all I've got to say about this episode for right now, and I will see you all later.